Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. I'll give people a couple more seconds to settle in. Thank you so much for coming. If you don't know me, most of you obviously do. I'm Tommy Seal, Lisa's husband, and we have her family here, and obviously you're the rest of us, the friends, and which is also family. Louder. I've been told to speak louder. Okay, thank you. I need feedback from my students. Okay. I did take some notes, so I wish more people could have been here before I start reading. I wish more people could have been here, but with the pandemic and everything, I understand. And for those who did make the trip, especially from out of town, we have somebody here from Seattle. We have somebody here from Washington, D.C., and somebody here from Denver and North Carolina. So a lot of people made the trip, and I really, really appreciate that. Some people flew. Some of my family members flew here in their own plane, which is so cool, which I'll talk about in a second. That ties into Lisa quite nicely. Okay, this is the 1 year anniversary, a year and a day, but weather yesterday was, there was a football game. There are some Wolfpack fans in the room, some graduates, so be nice. So it's a solid game. We'll get you next year. Lisa's last several months were perfect. I mean, if you had to describe, envision what would happen if you were given that set of cards, she handled it so well. She prepared me, and I've said this line to so many of you people, she prepared me well. And so, yes, I'm sad, yes, I've cried, but I'm still, I got a solid foundation inside me that she established. And so I'll be good, and Dane will be good. He can speak for himself, obviously, but when I look at him, I see he can handle what comes at him because of her. I mean, yes, I helped. I did dishes. I'm a good laundry guy, but she did the leadership, the mentorship, and the parenting that a mom should do. Okay, so I wrote, some of you have traveled across the continent. That was my Seattle comment, so I've covered that. Yes. All right, you ready? Okay. Lisa's last name was Conti. It was not Seal. I know she would have approved that I mentioned this. She and I went back and forth. I said, a woman should be glad to change her name. And she was like, so I convinced her that it was okay. But when she first told me that she wanted to keep that Conti name, I'm like, fine, I'm not here, I don't care about that. So I had other interests. And so it was when I met her family. Her mother had the same kind of issue that Lisa did with her cancer. It's genetic. And so I met her, and I saw what she was going through, and I saw how her father, or Lisa's father, stood there and was angry and yet loving, and there was things that he could not fight, and there was very few things that he would not take on. So I learned a lot by watching him handle what he went through. And so I've applied those life lessons ever since then. And then when I went to visit her family down in Homestead, Florida, by the way, I'll get to that in a second, but I met them, and it was just such a strong family. The foundation that they had built, the love that they had between themselves was really strong and overt, out there. They're New Yorkers. I mean, they're Italians on top of that, half Italian. So not full blood. It's a family joke. So anyway, that was my introduction to her life, and it was rough because her mother passed away fairly soon, and then she lost her father after Andrew. After that, so it was rough for her and for her family members, her brother Dan, and my brother-in-law. Okay, so let me touch on her life story next. Born in Long Island, in a little town called Amityville, That's what her birth certificate says. You can get the jokes out if you want. This is the right generation to get that joke. But anyway, her father, I can be corrected, maybe we'll fix this in the video afterwards, but he worked in, I know he worked in airplane inspections up in Long Island. He got a job down in Homestead Air Force Base, and he took the family with him down to Homestead when she was in about the 5th or 6th grade. And so she brought, the whole family came down, and they lived in a couple little tiny places first, and then they built their house, and he constructed the house himself with, from his own hands. And so it was extra well strapped. When Andrew hit, the roof did not leave. All right? Yeah, just let you settle in on that sentence for a while. So extra hurricane strap. So anyway. She went to middle school down there, Redlands Middle School. For their recess, they threw tomatoes at each other. Because if you know anything about Homestead, they have 4 crops of tomatoes a year, pretty much, and they plow the rock. And so a great childhood. Biscayne Bay National Park was right down the street. She dove. Her family had boats, cars, motorcycles, Great Danes. They didn't ride them. But so it was just a motor-oriented family and fix-it family, do-it, build-it-yourself kind of existence. And that was such a good foundation for her. Her father did all the extra little things, did the setting up the electronics at the the Christmas show that the schools would have. He was always involved with her education, with Dan's education too. It was just a great childhood for her. Then University of Miami. I'm not quite sure when her mother was given her first diagnosis with breast cancer, but I think that had a lot to do with her deciding to stay close to home. Also maybe the strong scholarship that she got because she was pretty sharp. And so anyway, so she's a hurricane. That didn't stop me. And then she went to University of Florida as a veterinary student, and she applied to other schools. Her mom was still alive, and Cornell accepted her, Ivy League and all that, but she said, I want to stay close to home. So Gainesville was lucky enough to get her. And then her senior year in vet college, her last year, she met a professor at University of Florida named Dr. Nicoletti, and he was an expert in cattle diseases, global cattle diseases. He went to Iran and places, exotic places like that, to help the local people deal with brucellosis, if you know what that is. It causes humans to become sterile, the males. So yeah, so we were very interested in that disease, as opposed to some others. So anyway, so that had a lot of global attention. It was deadly to the cattle herds, and so she loved him. He was her mentor. And he took that mentor word and showed her what it was. And then she, in turn, how many of you in this room were mentored by her? Some of you directly, your co-worker mentoring, and that was nice. But there were some of you who were literally, fellows under programs who she guided through the Department of Agriculture process. So anyway, so she came to Tallahassee after she graduated because Nicoletti connected her with something called public health veterinary medicine. And so she came to Tallahassee and worked at the Department of Health in AIDS program for 6 years. That was the job that she got in the AIDS surveillance section. So statistics, science, questionnaires, personal questionnaires, very difficult subject matter to deal with, especially in the 80s, and so in the 90s. And so that was her break-in training. And then she got moved up through Department of Health, became the Director of Environmental Health for a number of years, and then opportunity knocked loudly and said, and then with a boot in the back of her, so Department of Health parted ways with her for some inexplicable reason, and then Adam Putnam, Commissioner of Agriculture, discovered that she was available, and the word got out. I think Dr. Roberts had something to do with that. I'm just guessing a little bit, maybe. And so anyway, so the word was out, and so Commissioner Putnam hired her. And if you know Lisa, she was apolitical. And yes, Adam was a political animal, but she said the following sentence: whenever he walked in the door, there was no R or D. It was agriculture of the day. Whether it was business-oriented or environmental-oriented, agriculture is both sides. And so anyway, best job she ever had, best boss she ever had. That's what she said. So just throw that out there. She was with him for 5 years, and then during the election, she was one of the very, very few who made the transition, did not get, upon the new people coming in. And I now learned just today, a few minutes ago, what or how that actually happened. So that was a cool story. So thank you for coming, the person who told me that story. And so that explained why she was able to stay at Department of Agriculture. And so she did good things until it caught up with her. And all right, so so I got her to Department of Agriculture. Good. Not most importantly, but as importantly, she worked almost every weekend at a local veterinary clinic. 3 weekends a week. And so people would call up the clinic and say, is Dr. Conti working this Saturday? And then they would, make the appointment. So anyway, lots of great pets that we had. I had free vet care my entire life. I now know how much it costs to have a liver enzyme panel done. And both of our dogs are, that's Captain right now, but Crystal and Onyx are 15 and 12, or 14 and 12. So I'll be dealing with that clinic, and I will stay with that clinic. She loved the clinic. She made so many good friends there, and most of them have moved on. But the veterinarian who owned the clinic, he can't be here today. He sends his apologies, but she loved him too. He was a good worker, and he loved her too. All right, so I just wanted to mention the clinic. Her last day of work, according to the log that I read, was July 27th, 2020. She passed in November. So, in her notes of that day were concerning cyclospora, which is a foodborne disease that makes you very sick. It usually doesn't kill you, but it is a really bad thing to say your strawberry crop is contaminated with cyclospora. You don't want to see that sentence. And so there was a cyclospora outbreak, and she was working on that. Who was it? Was it you, Patty? Somebody was saying, was saying that she was, for her last days, she was arguing with the feds, the federal agency, about the quality of their study on how they concluded that. So she was working hard to the end, and she would want it no other way. One of my friends just left early, but I told her I would say this out loud. I've been told by this good friend of mine repeatedly that I am such an incredibly lucky man to, she would look at Lisa and just shake her head like, and look at me and shake her head like, she couldn't get the connection. And anyway, she had to leave early. I missed that, but yeah, so that was good. I miss Lisa every day, several times a day, but again, I'm prepared, so I'm good for that. But this is a little Hollywood shout out. There's a movie called Up, U-P, Up. It's an animated movie, and it involves a couple, and the wife dies early, and the wife leaves a message to the husband saying, "Thank you for the adventure, now go out and have another one." In other words, don't mope, don't mourn too much, and she was clear about that, so a blessing. Okay, we have other speakers. I've been going on probably way too longer than I was allotted time. We have multiple speakers. I'm going to make the announcement once now, and then I'll make it again at the end. A couple of quick things. At the tables, not at the chairs, but in the tables are postcards that are addressed to her with a stamp already on it. I collect stamps, and so I know these things. And so if you want to write her a note, or write me a note, or write the world a note and just send it to us. It'll put it in a post office box. It'll get to me, and I'm going to save those as a memento of this day because it's working out great. I mean, all the people who are helping me, thank you. I mean, the tech and yes, the workers here. Tell them thank you when you leave. The postcard's done. Dragonfly pins and brooches are on the back table. They're free to take one if you wish. If you've already been given one, you don't have to take more. So she loved dragonflies, and as you well know, and that's what I wanted to say. Also, plant a native tree. A money item, Lisa has a University of Florida donation fund that specifically funds One Health initiatives, things that, diseases that people get from nature. All right, you might have heard of these things. Some of you are wearing masks because of it. It's called zoonotic diseases. Insects carry them, or sometimes they're just airborne. So anyway, there's a health research fund there too, so please consider that if you wish. And we're going to make a video of this, as you see up here, and so if some of your friends couldn't make it, please let them know, and we'll have that available for them. And the flying thing, yeah. She loved insects. She loved insects. You'll see in one of her little things there that she was quoted in the local Homestead News Leader as she didn't like dolls, she liked insects. Well, she had dolls in the house too. I don't know where that reporter got her information. But anyway, so, but her father was in airplane maintenance. Her brother flies. Her nephew is in the Marines, the Marine Air Corps. And so it's in their blood. And so I just think that she just has this, I know she's gone, but I think that she has this love of flight, the love of being able to be above and see the big picture and be free briefly. So, and a number of you have said, when I see a dragonfly, I think of her. You can only imagine what I think. I mean, I'm sitting at an intersection and the female is trying to lay eggs on my hood. Because it looks like a water body. It reflects, yeah, you've seen the phenomenon happen. So, yeah, so I see them a lot, and that's good, because they're an ecological indicator of the health of the environment, and you know that. So, if you don't have any insects, the dragonflies will fly away and eat somewhere else. So, okay, the first speaker would be, is that good for you? Yeah. Or you're Dane? Dane, you want to go first? Yeah, let's have Dane go first, and then you can see how well prepared we are. And then her brother Dan's going to speak, and then if anybody else wants to speak, I've been told that other people would like to speak too, and if you want to, and Aunt Victoria is going to speak too. So yes, so thank you for coming. I'll be back.
Well, this is a great turnout. I'm so excited to see everyone here. She was bigger than life. She was someone that you could look to for anything and everything, and she would be there to give and to just take nothing from you and give everything from her heart. She didn't take no for an answer. She was there whenever you were there, just to keep going, keep driving, keep taking everything and just going with the flow. And she would take these hints and she would move forward and do anything that she could to make the world a better place. She was a loving wife, a loving mother, and a loving coworker and mentor, and literally everything you can think of, she was there. She was there to give, and she would open up her heart to everyone and anyone that she wanted to. But in addition to opening up your heart, she would open up your mind. She would explore the world that you wouldn't think about. She would give you ways to think about things that you would never think would be part of your vocabulary, part of your world. She would just literally take your world and flip it upside down and explore everything that you didn't know. That was my entire life. She was there giving me hints about what to do, not telling me what to do, but letting me figure it out for myself and letting me figure out how to live my life and to be someone that I didn't know I could ever be. So for my first birthday, we had this birthday cake, and she gave it to me, and she said, "Have fun, explore." And so what do? Smack. And so I explored, and that is what she wanted everyone to do, to find things in the world and figure out what to do about it. And that is what I think we should all take from her, is that this world is up for you. It's what you make of it. It's how you determine what you want to do for your future, how you want to live. And it's really a whole life that you're able to make. She incited knowledge. She incited love and respect for everyone and everything. No matter who you are, she would give every 100% of her heart and 110% of her mind to letting you learn and give everything. She was a shining beacon of light and joy you could go to on a rainy day, on a cloudy day, and she would be a smile that would look like your whole world was just nothing there but her smile. She would illuminate every part of your life. And that's what I looked forward every time I came home. I needed her to lean on and to learn from. And she was always there for me. She was a leader. She led people, but not from a chair above you. She led from the front line. She was there to point to you and how to work, but she was giving you an example of how to work and how to be there in front and show you how to do it. So I learned my entire life from her. I took a leadership examples and put myself out there, and she said, have fun, try it. You may never know what happens. And so I've just had so much fun and things I wouldn't thought to do just because she said, try it, and you never know. She was a living angel. She was someone that you would never know how to go up to, and she would just she'd be there for a hug, she'd be there for anything. And she explored every world that you didn't know. And so I miss her so much. I miss coming home, I miss hugging her, and I'm sure everyone else here imagines what it would be like to have her as your mom and just have that as your beacon, your rock that you would hold on to. Nothing could compare to her smile that would light up the world. Nothing could compare to her smile that would start a conversation that would lead to so much knowledge, so much learning. And that was what I loved every day about her. So as you can see these pictures, there's a lot of pictures of me when growing up, and every single picture she's smiling. I don't know if you noticed that, but there wasn't a single picture on here that she hadn't have a smile, and we never found one. She was always smiling. And that is what so that is what I found in every day. It's just a smile. And that's what I want you guys to leave here today. Just remember to smile. Keep smiling and look up into the world. Find something beautiful. Find something to talk about and to explore and to learn. And that's what I think we should all learn from her. Nothing is going to stop you if you just put your mind to it. And so I just want to thank everyone so much for coming. And, piano. So you may have heard me playing earlier. She was the one that started me playing. I was 5 years old, and she started me at the piano lesson saying, you know what would be cool? Learn how to play piano. And so it's like, I started saying, no, I'm good. And after a couple of days of hiding under the piano bench during our lessons and getting cheeseburgers after every rehearsal and every concert, that's when I started to say, yeah, this isn't too bad. And so I stuck with it, and I played in concerts at my local high school. I played at Carrabba's, played at the Wine Nights, and that wouldn't have been possible without her. And I think that's with her that things are possible. And so I want you to find someone in your life that you know things are possible because of them. And so thank you guys so much for coming. And I think I'll let Dan speak now. So thank you guys so much.
Hello, thanks Tommy and Dane. We really appreciate it, putting this together. I'm Lisa's brother, Dan. This is my daughter, Lorraine. Of course, our mother's name is Lorraine as well, so kind of passed through the family, and I know that meant a lot for Lisa. I just wanted to give you some insight, because I know a lot of you are colleagues and have worked with her, but I look at the crowd and I kind of remember how large our family gatherings used to be. Family was very important, and it strikes me how few of us are really left. I apologize. But I wanted to share with you a story from a time when Lisa was still in high school. My wife, Tammy, she and I weren't married yet, but we were in our first year of college, and we had come home for the summer. And Lisa at the time was starting to show the path that she was going to take. She was always interested, as was said, in insects. I don't know why, but That certainly wasn't anything I was ever interested in. But she was. She had talked about becoming an entomologist, among other things. And also starting to show a real care for animals. You can see a lot of it in the pictures, all the pets. So she decided that she was going to take a job, because it was summer, but she was, like I said, still in high school, at a nature center. And she became involved with a animal rescue part of the nature center. And as happens, somebody had brought in a possum that had been hit by a car. But the possum still had joeys. And so they extracted the joeys, and Lisa took them. And I think I actually saw a picture of one of them. And to keep them, to help them develop, to return them to health. But what she really did was she made it a mission, and she actually brought them home to help nurture them. So one morning, I hear Lisa call. She said, "Come help," and ran to see her. Her bedroom was just a couple doors down, and I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Well, could you help get this possum? Okay, where's the possum?" Well, she kept it in a room in a little terrarium, but she said, "I think he's wrapped up in my hair." So, sure enough, helped get the possum out of her hair, and she continued with them. And the whole idea was to get them, like I said, back to health, and then return them to the wild. So we got that resolved, and I think it was within a few days or so. I heard, because at that time, my wife Tammy was staying with us in the summer and staying in the guest room, and it was early, and hear a door open, and then two screams. One was Tammy seeing in the opossum, and the other one was the opossum. So I think, and of course, Lisa ran out, scooped up the opossum who was running down the hallway, and calmed it down. So I really wanted to share that story, because what it showed to me was really her dedication, her love for animals, for the environment, for people. A lot of what Tommy said about family was a big part of it. But I really want to share with you that she was a person that really strove to make a difference. I think that was the key. So.
Well, that was really hard to follow, all three of those. So, but here we go. I thought about not preparing anything, and about 2 hours before this, I started panicking. So, please excuse my phone. I'm very honored to have many strong role models in my life, like my parents, and especially female role models, like my mom and my sister-in-law and my great Aunt Victoria. But one of those was Lisa. And right before she passed, we had multiple conversations that I wish we had for years and years and years, and she reminded me that it was okay. It was okay that it took that long to have those open conversations, because she said that it's important to grow up, to have those adventures, and now that I was a little bit older, I can have those conversations with her. And I'm glad that I was able to have them before she went. But one of the most memorable conversations I had with her is what I asked hey, what's your favorite dragonfly? And if anyone knew Lisa, and we've got mentioned, she loved dragonflies without fail. Either in earrings or maybe a brooch or a necklace, she always had a dragonfly on her. And she was quick to note that she didn't really have a favorite and that all of them were amazing and wonderful and complex. But if she had to pick one, she would choose the rosette skimmer. And I really hope I tell the story right. I'm sure you're going to correct me later. She went to tell me a story about when she was a little girl, and she walked outside and saw this bright pink dragonfly. And Grandpa Conti walks out, and she says, "Look, Dad, a pink dragonfly. I didn't even know those existed." And he said, maybe there's contaminated water nearby." He went on to say, rosette skimmers are very territorial, and they prefer to breed in waters that are too harsh for the other skimmers, so they don't have to fight for their land. And apparently, this was one of those moments that really sparked something in Lisa. It sparked the curiosity and the wonder that she had for the world. Because just by paying attention to the insects around you, you can tell a lot about your surroundings and your environment that you live in. And I believe that this spark, this wonder, this curiosity is what made her so successful in life, not just in her career, but in her personal life and her friends and everything that was Aunt Lisa. Because she was willing to listen and learn something every single day until the last. And Lisa is still here. She's still here in every dragonfly that we see. And if you see a bright pink dragonfly, maybe check the quality of your water. But most importantly, see it as a symbol to stay curious and keep wondering about the world. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm Lisa's aunt, and I had the really good fortune to know Lisa in 3 ways. And I don't know too many people who had that opportunity. So the first way that I had to know her was as a child and as an adult. And I was really amazed when she took me to the Spice Park in Homestead and told me that she wanted to be an entomologist. I was always like, bugs? And so she introduced me to this Spice Park and told me how wonderful it was. I thought, oh, bugs. Okay. The second way I had to know, I was lucky enough to know Lisa, was as a scientist. And I think many of you knew her in that capacity as well. And Lisa was an amazing scientist. And we had a lot of conversations about science. And she taught me things, and I taught her some things, maybe not as much as she taught me. But I want you all to know her passion about One Health. And she opened my eyes to not just the importance of zoonotic diseases, which we are all living with regard to COVID-19, but that what One Health was that the health of the environment, the health of animals, the health of people, and of our planet is all one. And that was Lisa's mission in life, that we would all understand that, and that we're all joined in that circle of One Health. And that is what her memorial scholarship is all about, supporting One Health, and that Tommy mentioned. So I was very lucky to learn about that from her. And again, I know a number of you had the opportunity to work with her as a scientist. But the third, and really the most important part when I think about Lisa, is she was really a friend. She was a friend to everyone she met. As Dane and Tommy and Dan explained so well, and Lorraine put it, you could meet Lisa at that level as a friend, no matter who you were, how old you were, what your background was. She was just there as a giving, loving person. And you could never, I've never met anyone like that. And I've met thousands of people in my career that were scientists or that were, family members or whatever. And she really got that from her parents. Her mother and father were the most loving people you would ever meet. And I know everyone, especially, at memorials, they say, oh, this person was, all about their family. But Lisa's family was the world. It wasn't just her family. Sure, we were the lucky ones to really, really know her in these many ways. But her family was really the world. And she was happiest when she could be giving to others. And whether those others were people or animals. And I love Dan's story. I had never heard about the opossums, but she was always, loving in that way. What she was able to tell me many times and in many ways is that what she achieved was with the support of her husband, Tommy. And she could not have done all of the things that she did if Tommy wasn't there for her. And they together did many things, including, the property that they bought, and just the other greatest joy of her life was Dane. And together they made Dane, and that is the greatest joy of her life. That not only her pride in Dane and what her and Tommy could bring to the world, but the love and the hope. And her hope was that Tommy and Dane and her family could continue to bring the love that she had for the world to other people. So I was really lucky to know her in these three ways, and I'm really glad that you got to hear from her brother and from her son and just the kind of person that she was. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, open mic. No, first I want to have, somebody requested to speak, the University of Florida people, so if you could come up, both of you. Aunt Victoria, come on up, please. Stand right here. Aunt Victoria alluded to this, and I said it too. The University of Florida College of Veterinary Medicine has a One Health Fund, and it's doing very well. I mean, we're not asking for, we're not poor, but it's my goal to have it large enough to generate with interest, enough to be substantial, to have an impact. And if you know your math, you have to have a lot to have a little bit of interest. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Right here, I'll let you introduce I'll let them introduce themselves, but they're going to explain the fund a little bit better. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'm Patricia Lossick, and I've been with the college 11 years in advancement and alumni affairs. And I had the opportunity to get to know Lisa through her faculty mentor, Paul Nicoletti. And hearing from Dr. Nicoletti as well as other faculty, including Ellis Greiner, they saw in Lisa right away not only her incredible intelligence, but her ability to bring people together, to work together collaboratively and really leverage what everybody brought to the table. And I feel like, this fund, the Lisa Conti One Health Fund, and you can actually Google it and you'll find it if you put in UF Lisa Conti One Health Fund. But this fund is accomplishing that. I really feel that this fund is nurturing new knowledge, which is really the essence of Lisa as well. And it's so interesting because Lisa taught us all along the way, and I actually learned something from her just before she died. She actually wrote the description of the fund on our website, and in it she put that we're working towards salubrious solutions. And I had to look up the word salubrious, which means, boy, now I'm forgetting, but it actually means promoting health. And this fund is doing that. And it's so interesting because the fund resides in our Department of Comparative Diagnostic Population Medicine, and the mission of that department is to work collaboratively. And I have with me today the department chair, Subhashini Kariwasam, and she herself is quite accomplished, and she is board certified in the American College of Veterinary Microbiologists with specialties in bacteriology, mycology, and immunology, also the American College of Poultry Veterinarians and the American College of Veterinary Preventative Medicine. And I'll mention that this fund is at $100,000 right now, and thanks to a generous donor, we were able to already go ahead and start a research project, which Dr. Carrie Wassam will fill you in on that.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. As Patricia introduced me, I am Subhashini Karyavasam. I joined University of Florida in 2018 as the chair of this newest department in the college. So it's also the 5th department added to the college in 2017.
It's our newest department.
Yes. So I want to tell you actually my first encounter with Lisa happened in 2016 when I passed the board certification exam in veterinary preventive medicine. By then, Lisa was a leading figure in the college, American College of Veterinary Preventive Medicine. That was my first encounter, and since then, she and I have been working on a couple of things. And when I joined University of Florida, and I met her a couple of times when I visited the diagnostic lab, veterinary diagnostic lab system, and she in fact actually asked me how she can help me, and she introduced me to the public health lab system in the state. So I visited the lab. I got to visit the lab actually thanks to her. And then about the Lisa Conti One Health Fund and the department, because it's the newest department in the college, as you can see, you can think the department, the majority of faculty are young, early career faculty, assistant professors, more than half. So this fund actually helps a lot for those young faculty to start their research and produce some preliminary data, and then apply for apply for federal funding and other industry funding to support their research. And also the department faculty members, they have many research projects in the area of zoonotic diseases or One Health, what we call, addressing both human side, animal side, and the environmental side. To name some, the faculty members work on rat lungworm, which is a cause of severe encephalitis in humans, and also toxocariasis, and antimicrobial resistance, and foodborne pathogens such as Salmonella, E. coli, and Campylobacter. And some of you maybe may know Dr. Maureen Long very well, and she has some projects on West Nile virus and Zika virus and some Ehrlichia. Her interest is in the area of vector-borne diseases. And also one assistant professor, Dr. Alison Andrew, he was the luckiest to get the first release of the fund, and he used the fund to study a new virus that he discovered, and he actually found a mechanism that helps the virus to evade the host immune system. And that new virus is an orthomyxovirus, like influenza virus. Now he is applying that knowledge to connect that avian virus, the newly discovered avian virus, to human influenza virus. So, I think I don't want to take your time more than this, and thank you very much for your help. And I am actually fortunate to be here, And I want to assure you, Dr. Conti's One Health legacy continues in my department. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, if anybody else wants to come up and say something? Oh, yes, we do have videos. Thank you, sir. We have, Can we have one speaker first? No. You want to come up? Come on up. Yes, please. You're witnessing an angel walking across the floor right now. Sorry.
My eyes are running. You're doing great. Awesome.
That's scary. Okay, this is Patty Anderson. Some of you know her from the Department of Health days. She has a long life story. It's a beautiful story. But her contribution for you to hear right now is the last 4 years of Lisa's life. Patty's retired now, but she just dropped everything in her home in St. Petersburg and came to Tallahassee and spent 4 months with us through and past her passing. And then she stayed with the grieving husband for another couple of weeks to 3 weeks, make sure he was well fed, that he could, manage for himself. And so anyway, this is a lifelong friend, and I just can't say anything better than that. So, all right.
Thank you, Tommy. Sure. So I am so thankful to see so many people here, and if you know Lisa, there's so many stories. But I have a little bit of a story that I want to start with this. My dear Lisa. So a really dear friend of mine, Lucy, who I met through Lisa, said this. My dear Lisa, we have like ownership of this wonderful person. But then you hear other people speak about her and you realize that we all have a my dear Lisa story. So this is a tiny bit of my dear Lisa story. I met Lisa in 2008. I was doing a telephone interview with a job at the Department of Health. She was on the line. This is before Zoom. And she said, like she should, leading that kind of interview, she said, we have set questions and set time. And oh, by the way, on the phone we have, I don't know, it sounded like 1,000 people. Turned out to be, you want to take this outside? It's probably my brother. Thank you. I have an elderly brother, declining health, so sorry about that. Yeah, just throw it in the bushes. It's like, okay, we can do them later. Sorry. So I had conducted many telephone interviews, having been a manager and a director, and she was doing all the right things. And, oh, you know what? It's in my pocket. Oh, gosh. What would Lisa say? Oh, well, that's the way it goes. That's life. But I was trying to recognize voices, because you don't have faces, and trying to project through your voice, and I was taking it really pretty seriously. And within 5 minutes, we're all laughing and joking, and we're way off agenda. And, the hour went by in a breeze, boom. And hung up the phone, and I go, well, I have no idea how that went. Sheesh, but it was a lot of fun. That was great for an interview. 5 minutes later, she called, and she said, we really want you to come to Tallahassee and meet you. And then I met her, my dear Lisa. This was the person, after, 25, 30 years of career, this was the person I wanted to work for and work with. From that moment, working with her was the most fabulous work years I ever had. This person, so full of love and kindness, but you've heard already some of the words, respect, collaboration, cooperation. This was the thing about Lisa, you could never say no. You heard Dane say she would never say no, but you could never say no to Lisa. That was it. But But she did it in such a nice way, you don't even feel bad about it. You don't even know what you're getting into. And she did. She had this way about her of pushing your comfort zone, pushing your boundaries. And so on a personal note, I'm an engineer head. I like A to B, give me the formula, I'm good. And then there'd be Lisa, the dragonfly. It's like, geesh. So one Easter I was visiting the Conti Seal family, and she's cooking dinner. She's got her rabbit ears on. You've seen a picture. I mean, she's just wonderful, making food, a happy moment for her. And I said, what can I do to help? Because I'm a helper. And she said, well, you can do the deviled eggs. And I'm like, okay, I can do deviled eggs. She said, oh, yeah, but I want them to look like bunnies. And I'm like, on the inside of my skin, I'm going, bunnies? Good grief. And she just left it to me. So it took me over an hour to make deviled eggs, because I'm like cutting these little carrot sticks and making little noses, and it's like, and then she's so proud after you have an accomplishment, you feel like you're the best person in the whole world. She just pushed my creative boundaries, I have none, and she's like, wow, you feel blessed. It's like so amazing. Another time, I was coming to visit, and she said, well, she always would say, what would you like to do? And I have favorite places in Tallahassee after leaving, like Ella, Lafayette or Lafayette Heritage Trail. I mean, there's places I love. And she would say, well, I scheduled a glass fusion class for us. I'm like deer in the headlights. I'm like the last person to take to like an art class. Well, the blessing of that moment in time is I met two new wonderful friends, Erica and Kelly. We will be friends forever. These are two young women that carry on her legacy in the Department of Agriculture. They are amazing. Without having done that class, oh, by the way, it totally stressed me out, I would not have met those people, and that was one of the beauties of Lisa. So an hour-long class, and they're all like creating these wonderful, beautiful things. I have this blob. And yet she was so proud. She was like, look what you did. And I go, I know. It's so crazy. And there was this silly, mischievous part of Lisa. I attended an outdoor women's skill weekend, and I went with another friend, Karina, who's also now a lifelong friend that I met through Lisa. And Lisa, right, Karina? I mean, she's doing archery, and she's shooting a gun, and she's got like this glorious look on her face, like, look at me. And I'm like, you get to know people. So one of the things about that weekend, she hated snoring. And there was a woman in the group that was a snorer, and she handed out earplugs, right? Lisa goes, I can't sleep here, not sleeping here. So we found a cabin of our own. But that was the first time I had the realization that Lisa was so in love with dragonflies, because as we're walking around, she goes, da-da-da-da, scientific names, right? Like, what? And she would just spew out all these names of dragonflies. It really dawned on me, she really, really loved dragonflies. And how can you not see a dragonfly and not think about her? But that was her. It was so amazing, just so much fun. You go back in time, you have memories forever. I had the privilege of traveling with Lisa once. Well, a couple of times, but this was more significant. We went to Puerto Rico, and she was a speaker for a One Health conference, people from all over the world. She was a speaker in demand because of her knowledge and her gift of relating human, animal, environment interactions. I went as a guest. I'm like, I have never done this in my whole life. I've always been a speaker, and you go by yourself, and it's like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You meet lots of great people, but you don't have an adventure. So we were sharing a room. What does Lisa Conti do the first thing walking in the room? Yes, she checked for bed bugs. Yes, she did. Well, we got the bill of health. We're good. And then she's unpacking her bag, and she said, oh, by the way, I have stinky shoes. I'm like, okay, I'm good. When I fly, I usually get some congestion. I can handle this. And then I said to her, yeah, but I think I snore. And so I said, so if I snore, just throw one of your stinky shoes at me. And then we laughed, we had a great time. And I wanted to go and listen to her speak. And even though I'd heard her speak many times about One Health, and I said to her, can I just sneak in to the conference because I'm only a guest? And she goes, you've heard this talk so many times, but I'll tell you what, every time she talked about One Health, it was new, it was innovative, it was like sings a new note in your ear. I mean, she's so passionate and so like committed to this topic. It was just, I still get goosebumps thinking about it. It's just really inspiring, just so inspiring. And as Tommy mentioned, I had the privilege of helping towards the end. And it was COVID year, and I had been missing Lisa, and I knew she had stopped treatments, and that was a really hard decision, but she was gonna live her life the way she was gonna live her life. Just fearlessly, courageously, and I'm going out on my own terms. That was our Lisa. But when she finally agreed to let me come, it was an amazing time. You would think you'd be full of sadness and like, I can't handle this, but every single day I spent with her, she was giving, loving. I mean, we were going through things to try to make it easier for Tommy and Dane with her passing. We were purging her clothes. We were going through her stuff, and she was gifting. I'm sorry, Lorraine. Lorraine got a lot of boxes. But Lisa would say, oh, this is a jacket from my mother, or this is a shawl from my grandmother. Thank you, Lorraine. But Victoria and Dan and Nathaniel, and I got to know the Conti family because they have a picture wall in their house, and she would talk about people and the memories and her smiles, as Dane has talked about. Even though she was declining every single day, it was my job to make her smile and laugh. And usually I'm pretty good at it. Yeah, so we had a lot of really great times. That's a precious, precious time to spend with a human being that I consider a friend. And like a sister to me. She was a sister to me. And I still have sadness. I still miss her. So I found this reading, and I changed it up a little bit to help me through. And I know I shared it with Tommy, so now I want to share it with you. You can shed tears because she is gone, or you can smile because she lived. You can close your eyes and pray she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she left for you. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love she shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember only she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and feel empty, or you can do what she would want. Smile, open your heart, love, and go on. This is a beautiful, great day because we remember an amazing person, my sister, my dear Lisa.
Hi, my name is Peter Rabinowitz, and I'm so glad you're getting together to celebrate the life of Lisa Conti. I wish I could be there in person, but there's illness in my own family that keeps me from traveling. I did want to share a couple of happy memories of Lisa and to let you know that I'm with you in spirit at your celebration. Lisa Conti came into my life in 2007. I was planning a sabbatical from my work at Yale Medical School and wanted to venture outside of my comfort zone to write a clinical manual for use by both physicians and veterinarians about the health issues that overlap across species. There was this new concept being talked about called One Health, and I had just had a conference call with Bruce Kaplan, Laura Kahn, and Tom Monath about getting involved with their efforts to promote the concept. When I asked them about a suggestion for a co-editor for my planned book who was a veterinarian, Bruce didn't hesitate to tell me that I absolutely had to talk to Lisa Conti. He said Lisa had the amazing background of both veterinary medicine and environmental science, being at that time the director of environmental health for the state of Florida. We met that fall at the Tropical Medicine meeting in Philadelphia. I looked on at the conference room where she was giving a talk. There were hundreds of people paying rapt attention to this small and lively woman. When she finished and we had a chance to talk directly, I was struck by the utterly positive attitude she had toward the concept of writing a brand new book in a year. Lisa became my entry to the world of veterinary medicine and One Health. We spent the next year in frequent contact by phone, email, and Skype. We worked out a pattern of writing chapters. I would draft, she would edit, and then she would send it off to an ever-widening group of experts for technical review. Her comments were always insightful, useful, and positive, and it was so impressive how many people she knew and how her requests to them for help were always met with a yes. Back and forth, the project becoming richer and richer with the involvement of so many people in the wide public health community that Lisa counted as friends. Toward the end, we added pictures, and she found most of the wonderful images that we ended up using. We were able to finish the book on time, and here it is. Working with Lisa on this book was one of the high points of my professional life. She added the magic to it, and she embodied the ethic of interdisciplinary work and innovation. As we finished the book, Lisa told me about her cancer. She handled the news and the need to take steps in such a brave and determined way. And as she finished courses of chemo and plunged back into activities again, she was brave enough to help me with a field study of fracking and health problems among people and animals in rural Pennsylvania. She followed that with many other efforts. In the last few years, we worked together with so many others on the National Academy One Health Fellowship work for Pakistan, and I'm convinced I was only included because of Lisa. That led to many exciting collaborations and shared adventures with her and others, like camel riding in the desert sands of the Arab Emirates. Towards the end of her life, I saw her often pushing through pain and exhaustion to carry out the activities that she loved. And always in her emails and calls, she consistently called out the light through the darkness. Lisa taught me the value of building a community of like-minded people to work together toward common goals, and how collective action can be built on friendships rather than competition. She taught me about standing up to overwhelming odds, always believing in one's personal gifts. She taught me never to give up. I shall miss her terribly, but carry her voice with me always. And to Thomas and her family, thank you for sharing the wonderful woman with this world. And just as she touched so many of us, there is a huge community holding all of you and her in our hearts.
Hi, Tommy, Dane, and family and friends of Lisa's. Unfortunately, I'm not able to participate with you in person today as we celebrate Lisa's life, but I wanted to share with you some of the thoughts that cross my mind when I think of Lisa and my interaction with her. My life's journey took me through Tallahassee and into Florida for 4 years, at which time Lisa was both my mentor and a friend. The thoughts that come to mind, the words that come to mind when I think of Lisa, and I'm sure for many of you likewise, are kind, compassionate, smart, and just really a sharp woman all around. Lisa was both a strong mentor and manager when it came to my time at FDACS, and really, I'd never been in the public sector. I've always been in private, so she was able to really navigate and help me navigate through that change, and did so with a gentle hand, but a strong hand. She was just a really smart woman in many senses that I really have a great appreciation for. Lisa's kindness and thoughtfulness of others, and in particular, as it pertains to me, myself and my situation, I won't forget, I haven't forgotten, and I will carry with me for the rest of my days. I'm grateful for my time that I was able to spend with Lisa, and I'm also grateful that I will have those memories that I'll be able to carry with me through the rest of my days. You guys, you all know, because you're all there in person, she was quite a remarkable influence on each one of us and an impact on the world. And I really, really admire that in a person and in a woman and in the person she was. thanks for being there in person and helping me carry on the kindness and strength and sharpness that Lisa shared with all of us. Stay well.
It's my pleasure to be a small part of the celebration of life with family and friends of Dr. Lisa Conti, somebody who lit up our office with her smile, with her passion, with her dedication to public service and public life. Lisa's office was something out of a torture chamber or a macabre haunted house. There were devices on shelves in her office that we could not explain in good conscience to some of the school children who were coming through our office. Lisa was the kind of person that if she had been your biology teacher, we all would have gone into veterinary science. She had just such a passion and enthusiasm for knowledge, for learning, for being curious about the world around us. I know more about mosquitoes, Aedes aegypti mosquitoes in particular, thanks to Lisa, than I ever thought I would know when I ran for Agriculture Commissioner. We used to have a standing agenda item on our leaders' meetings called the Science Minute. And when we put it on there, you could tell that some people were a little bit reluctant, a little bit reticent, maybe an eye roll or two. But within 10 seconds of every one of Lisa's Science Minutes, people were leaning forward in their seats with rapt attention, learning something that they had never heard before, that was a gee whiz aha moment that made them more knowledgeable and better at their jobs, because she made knowledge a pillar of learning and understanding in the department. She elevated our science team, gave them the respect that they had deserved, lifted them to a whole nother level, and made all of us more appreciative of the role that science plays in all the decisions that we make. I'm so proud to have been her colleague, to have learned from her life and her example, and how heroically she fought cancer. So while I'm sorry I can't be with you, I just am so proud to have called Lisa a friend and a partner and a colleague, and to join in this special ceremony to honor the life that was so impactful well beyond the state of Florida and frankly well beyond the borders of our country. She was a global science leader, and I'm sure proud to have been able to say that I knew her as a friend and a colleague.
Last November, our FDAX family lost a beloved leader, mentor, friend, and colleague with the passing of Dr. Lisa Conti. Not a day goes by this past year that we have not felt the weight of that loss. And not a day goes by that we don't feel with her with us, and her legacy lives on with each of us whose lives she had such an impact on, and the department as a whole. That is a better place thanks to her professional and personal contributions. Today, let us celebrate Lisa's life by remembering all of the moments we shared, both big and small, and the time where we've given to walk in this life with such a beautiful soul. Tommy, Dane, and all those who loved her, I hope we can all continue to find comfort in knowing how special Lisa was to so many people, and the imprint she has left on each and every life she's touched, and the better future she has built for generations to come through her contributions to the scientific community. I am so blessed to have known her and to have had the opportunity to join you all to celebrate such a truly beautiful life. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to all those. Those were, well, they nailed it, as I say. Okay, we're getting closer to the end. I hate for this to end because I'm feeling really good right now. And I'm feeling a lot of love and seeing some old friends, and I really appreciate you guys coming. Okay. A couple of things. Robin Oliveri's husband, TJ, has a present in the back of the room in a box, so nobody take the box. That's one thing on my list of things to say. I omitted one of Lisa's favorite family members, her cousin Tom. up here in the front, and I'm not asking, he's way up here. But you saw his picture up here. He looks like Jason Momoa when he was younger. So, yeah, he does. Still. Anyway, so she had, of course, the line of, I don't have a favorite dragonfly, but she did have a favorite Tom. So, thank you. My name is Tommy. So, yeah, just the pictures of her hugging him. I mean, I could only wish that, I got hugged the same way too, but it was just that, back to Dan's comment about family. She just absolutely loved family. I mean, it was just, comes with the territory. All right, and then finally, TJ, yeah, okay. We have a little bit of music. We have a little bit of music coming up. I want him to play more than one song. There's more than one person in the room, Larry, who wants him to play more than one song, but he said that this is about Lisa and not about him. So this is George Gray, and Mickey Abraham is right here. And Lisa, the last 2 years of her life, picked up the mandolin, as in the stringed instrument like the lute and the lyre and the guitar. But she learned how to play the mandolin thanks to Mickey here. And George worked with Lisa as an IT specialist in the Department of Health, but at night he's obviously been practicing his guitar and his singing voice. So, and then I'll come up again and say something at the very end. Do you need to tune up? I'm kidding. But if anybody else wants to say anything, I mean we have the place until 3. And I do want to say one more thing. There's one more group of people that I forgot that Patty reminded me that Lisa would push your limits. One time I went to visit her family down in Homestead, and she said, let's go on a bike ride to Chucalissa, which is a little county park in Dade County. And there's a sulfur spring where the oil company guys pierced the 3,000-foot deep aquifer, and it pours out sulfur water. And she says, it's a great place to go. You'll like it. You're a geologist. And so we jump on the bikes. I say, and I was a biker. I bicycled a lot. George Hewler, who's here, would attest to that. I could keep up with George. And so we went on this bike ride on flat. Oh, it's flat. It'll be flat, Tommy. It's no big deal. Well, so how far is it? She says, it's about 10 miles. I'm like, okay, I can handle that. It's hot, humid, Homestead. It's 10 miles there. My brain went round trip 10 miles. And so anyway, so I got pushed, and then I went back into hibernation for a long time. But then with Lisa's, cancer coming back, and she listened to the doctor's advice, get plenty of exercise, and so she joined a local gym, small gym called Fit and Functional, and some of them are here today. Yes, some of them are here today, and she took me there every morning early, 6:30 in the morning, and not every day, of course, twice a week. But it was an eye-opening experience, and I think I will live a lot longer because of that, shock that I got from her saying, you better, come with me to the gym. And so I finally did, and I still go there religiously now. It's the mental thing, and so I still see her when I go into that building every day, and it's good for me. It's good mentally for me. Okay. They're going to play maybe more than one song. Maybe, get your lighters out.
I just want to say, as one of the many Lisa's coworkers that are here today, that she touched my heart deeply too. She was a joy to work for, and it's an honor to be here to be able to play for you and for her today. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. So Tommy and I have a connection. I lost my wife about 7 months ago, and I know that Lisa and Sue are both here. And so I'm going to play this one for my wife that was our favorite song that we always sang together. This is called The Water is Wide. Is wide, I cannot cross over, and neither have I wings to fly. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and I. There is a ship, she sails the sea, and she's built deep, as deep can be, but not as deep as the love I'm in, and I know not if I sink or swim. Love is gentle, and love is kind, as to a jewel when first it's new. But love grows old, and it fades with time, and fades away like morning dew. Wide, I cannot cross over, and neither have I wings to fly. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and I.
One more? No, you're good.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Yes, it was an honor for you guys to come. Thank you. She loved music. She even grew to love my favorite rock band. So, and there was nothing prettier than to hear. Yes, to hear her sing the song. The lyrics was just like wow. Yeah, she could hit the notes, if you know what I mean. There's so many people here that I want to say thank you for coming. I'm sitting here, and I thank you, Fred Calder, for coming and bringing your wife, Mita. Fred was my best boss I ever had. So my present boss is not here, that's why I can say. He's great, too. He's really great. Seriously, he's a very good environmentalist, which is a high honor in my mind. We had a family friend, briefly, named Don McDonald, and he can't be here because he's from British Columbia. I'm summarizing. He wrote, "It will be a great event." Him speaking in the future tense. The venue is perfect. So she loved this place. We came here with Robin and TJ and other family friends to take the kids swimming here. There were no manatees back then. When we came, there was like years and years with no manatees, and they're back. So I don't know what that means. It means that they migrate, by the way, and they explore new territories. Here we go. What I dearly loved about Lisa was her commitment to the truth, her willingness to cut through bureaucracy. I saw that at home every day. She'd come home like, I can't believe this. My kids can't believe we got to do this. And but she would cut through it. All right, it's me speaking. Her great love of nature. Don always said he enjoyed being in the same room with her because he knew the conversation would be meaningful. And I think that everyone wanted to listen to her thoughts and benefit from her wisdom. Even when we last got together at Fred and Mita's house in Tallahassee, time was already short, yet she gave wholeheartedly of herself. No self-pity, no wondering about life's unfairness, just full engagement and sharing. All right, so that was it, really that no wondering about life's unfairness. I mean, make the best of your time. She had 57 years. So just as a little note to you, I know you've done great work, but you're not done. And just carry that in your heart, and you're up here, and you'll be doing what she wanted you to do. I could keep going, but I won't. Okay, so please, thank you once again from everybody, from Dane and from Nikki. Thank you for coming. And Nikki's significant other for 6 years. And yes, so hello, Karina. Hello, Mark. Thank you for coming. And hello, new friends I've just met tonight, today. And anyway, you can catch up with me afterwards. So thank you for coming. All right.